Hi, I'm Vi. I'm e-commerce marketing expert at Omnisend, and today we're going back to basics. And I think segmentation is so fundamental that even if you've been doing it for ages, maybe it's going to be good to refresh your memory. And maybe if you have never segmented in email marketing, I think this is going to be really good because we're going step by step how to do it, why to do it, and also we will have TJ, who is our customer success manager, and you'll be able to ask him questions. Get the real experience of having your own customer success manager. So use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, leave the questions. We'll make sure to answer as many as we can. TJ, would you like to say hello?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining the webinar. Very excited to take it back to basics with everyone. And we're going to cover, essentially let's think segmentation 101.
Fantastic. I know that some people get a little bit frustrated or even scared when it comes to segmentation. So today we got you covered. Save space. If you have any questions, if you still something is unclear, make sure you ask the questions. And just a couple of things to know before we begin. This session is being recorded and you will receive the recording in a couple of days. We will include the slides and any of the resources that we share. And also, as I said, if at any point you have any questions, at the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A tab. Drop those questions in there, and then we will either pause to answer those, or we will wait till the end and cover those then. We also have our customer support team in the chat. So if you have any other questions, feel free to leave those there, and we'll make sure to answer those. So I'm very excited. Again, please ask questions. Use this opportunity. And TJ. Oh, before the stage is yours, one last thing, guys. Almost forgot the fun part. We're going to have a giveaway. So pay attention. And around midway, we will pause and have a little giveaway with exclusive Omnisend swag. How could I forget that? Awesome. Now the stage is yours for sure.
So let's get started. We've got our agenda today. We're going to cover segmentation fundamentals. Like I said, let's think the basics. 101, common fears. We've all got those little voices in our head that are talking us out of, some of the simplest things we could ever do. How are we going to create these segments in Omnisend? That's why we're here, to show you how to do it. And then my favorite is going to be the one segment that you need that you might not be using. Don't miss that slide. We'll talk through some basic FAQs. We'll answer as many questions from the audience. We'll go over a couple next steps and maybe a few of those starter segments and how you can build on those. We'll have some bonus tips, a Q&A, and then, like I mentioned, we'll have a little prize giveaway spaced in the middle here. So let's get started. What is segmentation? Why are we even here? Let's talk about the importance of it. What is it? Typically, we're like, this is hard to wrap our heads around, but not everyone wants to be reached that is on our list. So segmentation simply is the right message, the right people. I talked about it. We get trapped in, fear, thinking, I've got to hit all of my contacts. You don't. So we're going to talk about splitting this audience into smaller groups that are more manageable, more engaged. So you can send more relevant messages to your customers. And then it's also, that looking at an ocean perspective to where it's too big, it's too hard to start. Let's just start very broad, very simple, and then we can narrow it down and we'll add some specifics from there. And then we're using the data you already have. So this is nothing new. You already have access to all of this data. And Omnisend handles this in a way that it's easy to access, use, and understand. So let's cover it. We talked about some of this data. Subscription data. This could be your customers that are opting in, maybe through the different channels. That is, email, SMS, push, whichever ones it are. Maybe they're subscribed, non-subscribed, unsubscribed. You're going to have all of that on them. Behavioral. This could be what they're doing. Think, opening, clicking. Are they viewing pages, adding things to their cart on your website? And then we'll move into some transactional data. This could be, are they placing an order, canceling an order, something like that. And then we've got your demographics. Where are they? Their state, their country. Maybe you've got some custom properties on any of those customers that you want to track. Now, why does this matter? Typically, or just the easiest way to put it, is segmentation is going to mean higher engagement and better deliverability. You're going to see your open rates increasing. You're going to see your click rates going up, and you're going to have better chances of inbox placement in that main inbox. And this is going to help businesses send targeted messages like yours to your customers, which means they're going to be happier because they're getting the messages they want to receive. With those happier customers, you're going to see less unsubscribes, less spam, less bounces. You're going to be able to offer more personalized experiences. And all of this adds up. Inbox providers like Google like to see this engagement, these positive signals. And then overall, this adds up to just be a higher ROI. Who wouldn't want that with just some basic segmentation here? And the biggest point to drive home here is quality is always going to be quantity when it comes to your lists. So let's move into some of the basics that we want to talk about. Starting off, just if you've never seen it before, maybe you just got into Omnisend or you've been here a while, taking it back to the basics, using Omnisend segmentation, you'll find it on the left side of your screen. In that panel, you're going to choose the audience section. You're going to go to segments. Once you choose that, you're going to move into your segments and you'll have three options. Just to get started, you can choose from a pre-built option. We've done those for you. Best practice built out, just click it, build it, it's ready to go. New, you can choose the second option, generate with AI. We'll cover this one a little bit more detail later. The third option would be a little create from scratch, maybe a DIY scenario here. Now, once you go to start one of those segments, you're going to have a bunch of different filters to cover. And let's talk through what some of these could be. Basically, you're going to start with maybe your channel or the subscription status. Are they subscribed or not to email? We've got some custom properties. We can look, city, are they the consent data, country, anything in this dropdown you can choose and add to it. We mentioned engagement, so you can talk through this. Are they clicking on your messages? Are they, opting in, opening messages? So we want to figure out, what are we trying to look at? It could be an anniversary. Maybe it's their birthday. Maybe it's when they joined your customer list. We've got shopping behavior. So we talked about this, are they placing orders? Maybe, how many products have they ordered? Do you want to look at? We can look at that web activity. So this could be, what are they doing on your website? Maybe you want to look at a specific URL. Are they looking at some of your collection pages? Maybe looking at some of your sale items. You can filter out all of that data on that customer profile. Maybe you've got some custom events that you're tracking as far as what your customers are doing on your store and you want to reach them that way. So moving into some of your segment structure. Like I said, this can be very broad, it can be very narrow, but we want to start simple first, and then we can build on that. So explaining these segments, you're going to see a couple different, structure pieces. The first is going to be rules. This is that overarching theme, the main one that is applied to what you're doing. Next, you'll see some of the more of those filters that help you identify, qualifications for each of those overarching themes, the rule that we did. And then you can see rule sets. And up next, I'll show you a picture of what this kind of looks like. So don't get intimidated as far as having to memorize some definitions here. Rule sets are just a little collection, and then they can be separated by and or operators here. So here's that picture that we talked about. So and or operators, when you think and, this is going to be inclusive, casting a smaller net, a smaller pool, much more pieces have to be met for a customer to fall in that condition. When we think or, it's going to be, opening up that option. So more people can be fit. We just have to meet, one of the criteria that we've been choosing here. And you'll see that and or option to separate these rule sets. Now, going back into some of that structure, we talked about a couple of those positive events recently, but you can also track negative events. Who's not viewing a specific page or doing something on your website. You can always go, have or have not, is or is not. We can look at date filters. So not just, have they viewed a product, but, have they done this in the last week? Maybe have they done this in the last, 3 months, or a date range? Like who was looking at products during my last Black Friday, Cyber Monday window? That's some pretty important data that you can easily pull out here. So once you choose a couple options in some of those drop-down filters, you're going to see the auto suggestions coming up. So it's going to be pulling that data from your store. So when you start to choose one or multiple of those, you'll see the option in the middle here, choosing any of the options that you just selected. Have they ordered a product? And that title could contain any of the following options that we just chose from those pre-populated. And we've got source tags. Where did this customer come from? Did they come from a form? Did you manually import them? If you're on Shopify, did they come from your Shopify store? So that's important data to decide, where did someone come from? Especially if you're running specific campaigns or marketing strategies, social media efforts, anything like that. So now, once you're done building those segments, you just hit save, you give it a name, voila, that's it. I usually like to be short and specific when naming a segment, so I don't have to go back into it to figure out, what did I just build? And again, you'll find them on the left side of your screen in audiences. You'll click segments. You'll be able to see everything that you just made, or segments that you've worked on before. You'll be able to see the last time they're edited, and you'll be able to see how many contacts are in those segments, so you can understand who you're trying to reach and how many people are in those filters. Now, we've talked through a couple things, and you might be having some fears, but let's cover the reality that overcomes any of those fears coming through this. At this point, I'm going to show a couple of these fears, but feel free to go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever thought segmentation was, too complicated, or have a similar fear or concern of any of these here. We're all scared and intimidated, or we make issues bigger in our mind than they really need to be. And I hear these all the time. My customers are like, I'm going to exclude someone. Well, we have to remember, not everyone on your list wants to be reached. Segmentation is way too complicated. That's why we built our AI segment builder, to do it for you. I don't have enough data. Well, typically 30 days gives us more than enough than we need and is one of the best performing. So I'll talk through that in just a second as well. This is going to take way too long for me to build these. Well, once you build one segment, you can essentially reuse that forever and build off of it. And it doesn't take long. And then you think, oh, well, my list is constantly changing. This isn't going to work. Our segments are dynamic, so they're constantly updating and changing based on your customer data. So we've got all of that covered for you. And I hear this all the time. Segmentation, no, it's not going to move the needle for my business. I do want you to remember, if you've got a 100,000 contact list, but 27 of those are highly engaged, they will always outweigh that entire list. The ones that are engaged are going to be doing more for your business than the ones that aren't. Just remember that. All right, so talked about a little bit of that DIY segmentation. And we mentioned a couple of these, customer data points. So let's think through, they subscribe to your marketing. Maybe they view some sort of product, add it to your cart, start their checkout, or place an order. At any of these points, like, we're gathering data, and we can record these or use these for filters. And let's revisit this for a second. So when you're using our segmentation, we mentioned there's 3 options to go from the pre-built. We can use AI or do it ourselves. Typically, I like to start with, some sort of subscription status as your basic qualifier or rule. So let's just say we're looking for customers that are subscribed to our email channel. And then we want to think through, how do we build a recently engaged list? I like to think through that customer journey and any of those touch points that they're receiving along the way. They're going to opt in at some point. So whether that is social media, they land on your website, there's a pop-up form, some way, some form, they said, I want to choose, or I choose to receive marketing from you. Then they're probably going to open some sort of message, whether you sent a campaign to them or you've got some sort of automation set up that go out to them, like a welcome automation. They're going to click one of those messages that come to them, and then they're going to end up on your website. So that's the ultimate goal, is drive them back to your website so they can look at some sort of page, with certain products. Then they look at a specific product that catches their eye, and then they're going to add that product to their cart. They're going to start their checkout, and ultimately the end goal, place an order, as well as potentially come back and make more orders with you. So all of those touch points along the way, I like to consider as far as someone that's recently engaged. Now, let's talk about this. My favorite, be prepared, we'll give this to you to screenshot as well, but this is the one segment that you need if you are not using. So I talked about being, specific as far as what are we going to call this. So I'm going to start with this example of active engaged, someone that is subscribed, they're with your list, they're doing things, and then, choose your channel. So let's say email, maybe SMS, and, in a time frame, the last, X number of days. So all of those customer journey touch points that we have from when they opt in and when they go make a purchase and beyond, or coming back. And then we're going to start with the most recent or the best performance that we have to build on, which would be, typically someone that stepped into your ecosystem or your business and your community within the last 30 days. They are very fresh, very new, probably excited about your products, your business, or their most recent order, something like that. Choose the channel that you want to reach out to them. Is it going to be email? Or you can use SMS, maybe push? And then, like I said, a descriptive name. Don't just call it, segment one, email. Like that's not going to tell you anything. Be descriptive. Active, engaged, email, last 30 days. Now, once you have the starting point of this segmentation list, what can we do with it? You can duplicate it, copy it, clone it. You can extend the time frame. 30 days, that's a tight window. Maybe you don't want that. Fine, go with 90 days, 180 days. Find what works for your business that you feel comfortable with. Clone, copy, adjust the windows, and rotate audiences to get a little bit more specific. And my pro tip is, think about building that first segment and then make it for, say 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. And then you could rotate those 3 segments. And then you're going to avoid a lot of potential list fatigue or people maybe unsubscribing because they're getting too much from you. Those in that 30-day audience, they're going to get every email. They're with you. They're engaged. If they're in that 90-day audience, they might be getting every second campaign from you. And that 180-day audience, they'll get every third. So then you can kind of meet your customers where they're at with how they're engaging with you. And then let's move on to my sample. Feel free to screenshot this. We'll pull it up again later. But this is my favorite example, the one segment that you need, your active, engaged email subscribers within the last 30 days. So you put these filters in and you can see I used the OR qualifier, which opens that net, including all of these people that meet any of these criteria. Okay, you've got your segment built. Now what? Let's send your campaign. So what do we do? How do we choose that segment that we just built? We talked about how to get to the segments. Well, once you go start your campaign, choose which type you're going to send. And then once you want to send it, you'll create your content. And then the next tab, you'll move to select your audiences. And then this is where you want to avoid that temptation to choose all subscribers, sending to all contacts. No, we don't want to do that. We want to get back to the basics. We want to send to those people that want to be sent to. So choose that option on the right that says, let me choose segments. You'll see that first drop down of who to send to. So you click that little arrow drop down box and it's going to show you all of the segments that you had built. You can choose any of those or multiple of them. The next option would be excluding any segments. Maybe you want to exclude wholesalers if you're sending consumers. Maybe you want to exclude the people that have recently purchased. But then the combination of whatever would be in those audiences will be in the very bottom. So you'll see subscribers, in selected segments, and you'll see the total count there. So if there's any overlap or ones that are excluded versus included, you'll be able to see how many people you're going to send to before you even do a thing. Now, we talked about a little giveaway that is coming up next. So I'm going to throw it back to V here for some presents and a quick question.
My favorite thing to do. I just love giving away presents. Like, we'll do more of these, guys. Don't you worry. Thank you, everyone, first of all, for participating in the chat. Excellent questions. And remember, we're going back to basics here. So if you still have any questions and would like TJ to clarify it, please go and tell us in the chat. This is why we're here today. There's no stupid questions here. We're all learning about segmentation, which is so, so important. But before that, I think let's save the chat space because for the giveaway, you will get a chance to win an exclusive Omnisend swag kit, and we will take care of everything, shipping and all that. But how to win that prize, we will ask you a question, we will give you the answer options, and whichever you think is the correct one, drop the letter into the chat box. And then our customer support team will let us know if we have a winner, and then we will get in touch via chat asking for your information. Okay, so let's reveal the question.
All right, here we go.
Why does segmentation matter? So why does segmentation matter? And please reveal the answer options. Okay, whichever is the correct one, drop it in the chat. Oh, we definitely have a winner. The chat is on fire. Oh, amazing. We definitely have a winner. So you'll see a message from our customer support team. They will ask for information and we will get the swag kit to you as soon as possible. Amazing job, guys. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever about segmentation, no matter how little, or if you think that you missed something, drop it in the chat. We will answer that. That's why we're here today. Okay, TJ, back to you.
All right, let's resume. So we've got our FAQs coming up next. We've always got a ton of questions here. Let's dig into a few of those. So starting with one of our first ones, how many of these segments should I build? I would typically recommend just start with 3 core segments. Maybe that's your engaged 38 audience. Maybe it's a VIP segment of your repeat buyers, or maybe it's some sort of inactive list of those that haven't done something in the last 90 days or so. And then you can add more after that if you want. Do the segments update automatically? Yes. So Omnisend is updating those segments dynamically. Once they're built, they refresh every time data changes. And, oh, well, what if I'm just using tags? Well, let's talk about the difference in that. Tags versus your segments. What's the difference? Tags, they're manual or static labels that you're going to apply, whereas your segments, those are dynamic. They're rule-based groups, and they update themselves. You could use your tags for one-off situations where your segments are going to be ongoing and constantly updating. And we said this in one of those fears. I've only got a small number of contacts. Maybe I only have 1,000 contacts. Does segmentation really help? Absolutely. Yes. So even just splitting your audience into maybe new versus returning buyers can help you talk through that. A couple more questions here. So does segmentation cost more? No. Your pricing is based off of your contact count, your messages, not the number of segments. So sending fewer, better targeted messages can often lower your cost because you're going to be reaching the people that are engaged with your business and doing something. Can I segment SMS and push the same way as the email example we just talked to? Yes, absolutely. You just choose your channel, subscribe to SMS, and go from there. What's the fastest way to build my first segment? I'm glad you asked. It's our AI segment builder, and we're going to get into that one next. So, AI, this is where everybody's at. Here's all the
TJ,
buzz.
before the fun Omnisend AI part, I do have one question from the audience that I think would fit right into the FAQs. So the question is, what would be some differences for using segmentation with campaigns versus automations? Would they be good for automations?
Absolutely. So in automations, if you've got some sort of segment of people that you don't want to get your automated messages. So I see people set this all the time. So if someone's gotten a campaign in the last 24 hours, maybe you want them to not receive an automation so they're not getting too many messages. Or if you've got a wholesaler who's on your website, you don't want to get them the same option that your regular consumer base would. Options are really endless and up to imagination for what you want to do with these segments in both campaigns and automations. Oh, I forgot. There's a couple other questions that I always get asked. How long before I would see improvement? Like you can see it in as fast as like 2 to 4 campaigns, a couple of weeks, you'll really see improvements. Will segments break my automations? I hear this all the time. No, you can use filters, splits, and figure out which direction that they want to go. What data fields are the most important? We talked about that, opens, clicks, are they placing orders, maybe where they're at if you're an international business. And then I get some confusion in this area, but like, can a contact be in multiple segments? Yes. And that's normal. But you can also use frequency caps or exclusions if you're worried about overreaching someone when you've got some overlapping segments. How often should I adjust these segments? Maybe it's once a quarter or once or twice a year when you're going through like a list cleaning. And then, how would I measure success? Well, you're going to see it with your opens and your clicks. And then you're also going to see the revenue behind those emails coming through. So there's just a couple of other questions that I typically get all the time. Now, the fun stuff that we said we wanted to move. Have you ever wondered, couldn't there be an easier way for this just to be done for me? And the answer is yes. We've mentioned it a couple times now, but let's dig in here and show you exactly what we at Omnisend have been working on for you. This is our AI segment builder. So essentially, when you go to create that segment, we said there was 3 options: pre-built, create from scratch, or choose this main option at the top that lets the AI do it for you. So you can just click in that box, start typing what kind of audience you want. Maybe that's email subscribers with at least 2 orders. Maybe it's someone that purchased during last year's Black Friday campaign, and you can choose the time frame. If it's a clear answer, it will suggest the segment for you. If it needs a little follow-up, we've got a chat bot that's going to come in and say, ask some clarifying questions. But this is very natural language. Essentially, you click in this box and you just have a conversation. Tweak your filters as needed. This is going to lower that too complicated, too much time, too hard to do, because you essentially go to your audience, click your segments, create a segment, and have a conversation. That's it. That's how hard this should be. Not at all. So, pro tips for beginners. Let's move into that next little phase here. I think everyone might recognize this little acronym. Keep it simple, silly, or whatever you want to fill in that last S there. But let's focus on who is doing something more so than typically who is not doing something. Those engaged audiences are going to do way more for your list, your deliverability, and your business overall than the ones that aren't doing anything. And I talked about this. Keep it simple. Start small. Don't get overcomplicated. Don't get caught up in paralysis analysis, and then gradually build on these over time. And consistency will always be a great winner here. A limited cadence of, maybe I'm doing once a month is going to be, a random burst where I can send 5 campaigns in a week, and then I don't send anything for 2 months. Consistency. All right. More pro tips. You as a business are trying to build your brand. That consistency, that engagement with those customers is going to help build your brand awareness. Your customers are going to learn to expect those emails from you on a certain day or time, or they're going to learn what kind of content you're sending out to them. And then they appreciate that. That's what keeps them engaged. When you're saving those segments as you go through, clear names that identify what's in it. So you don't have to go click into it just to figure out what did you even make. We don't want segment 1 email. We want active engaged email for the last 30 days. I know it's in that segment. I don't have to click into it. And then pruning is a healthy habit. I don't know if you've ever tried to grow a garden, but you got cut a couple limbs to make the garden grow. We talked about not everyone on your list wants to be reached. So using these segments to identify those people that have not engaged or are not doing anything for your list will help you, take away those so you can focus on a healthy list of those that are truly engaged in doing something. So the one segment you need, I recommend screenshot this, try setting up this segment, use this for your next several campaigns, and watch your open rates, your click rates just go through the roof here. That's going to improve everything from deliverability, your customers' happiness, all those pieces we talked about at the beginning. So again, you can watch this on playback, pause the video, just take a quick screenshot, and then we can even send this to you if you need it. But going into it, more pro tips. If you haven't caught a couple of our other webinars, Sadie did a phenomenal webinar on these 7 email segments you should have had all along. I loved that one. Agni did a great one as far as fixing low engagement, low DIY email clinic. And we've got more on our webinar section of our website. Please don't hesitate to go on there, subscribe for these webinars, go watch them, find the topics that really mean the most to you and your business. And that's about all that we've got today. So we're going to switch into a quick summary, and we're going to look at some of those key takeaways that we did today. So segmentation basics. We said this, quality will always outweigh your quantity. We don't need a ton of contacts to make big results or a big impact. In Gmail, Yahoo, other email service providers, they like to see that positive engagement from your customers. We talked about some of those fears. We've got those solutions to help you get past them. The AI builder, you're going to be able to preview what's in your segment before you do anything with it. So there's no worries on, how many people am I actually going to be able to reach here? And it doesn't matter how much data you have. Small data sets are okay. And we said, start broad, simple, and then narrow it down, add some specifics. A general engaged audience is going to do way more for you than just an all contact sent. And then consistency plus those positive engagement signals are going to lead to better chances at main inbox placement. Higher ROI, you're going to be less likely to ending up in someone's spam or promotions. Again, customers happier. It's going to be simpler and easier for you, and you're going to enjoy running your business that much more using Omnisend. So, time for a little Q&A.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We do have some questions, and a quick reminder for everyone, you will receive the recording and the slides in a couple of days. I know some people said they couldn't quite see the big segment. You'll get it in the slides. So if anything is coming your way, you haven't missed out. So There was one question, and I think it's because we still have a good chunk of time. I think it's also on other people's mind. So that was a little bit more at the beginning. And yes, so the question goes, can you go more into rotating the 30, 60, 180 days engaged audience and how that works and how often people will get sent those emails? So I think for us, it's quite obvious because we're email marketers. But it's because we're talking about basics. Could you go through this concept again? So we have a 30-day engaged audience, we have 60-day engaged audience, or however days engaged audience. What do you mean when you say rotating? And maybe have some examples of what it will look like in email calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just say 30, 60, 90, an easy kind of numbers to stick with. You've got a 30-day engaged audience. That's your customers based off of the filters we mentioned today in the webinar. That could be someone that's done anything within your business within the last 30 days. The 60-day audience, same thing. Anybody that's done something in the last 60 days. Now that 30-day audience will fall under your 60-day audience. And then you're just going to have a little bit of extra contacts that meet essentially from day 31 to day 60. So that's where the extra growth in that contact size would come from. And then the same thing for your 90-day audience, anybody that's done something in 90 days. So then you've got, day 61 to 90. So when I say rotating, maybe you're on a 3 campaign send a week schedule, and think about maybe what your most most important, biggest one, or the one that you want to see everybody to see would put into that 30-day audience. Your engaged audience is going to do the most for you. The next send, email send number 2 for the week, you're going to use your 60-day audience. Your 30-day audience still sees it, but now we're reaching, 31 to day 60 of your contacts. So they haven't gotten 2 emails at this point. They've only gotten 1, whereas your 30-day audience has gotten both of those emails that have gone out. And then same thing for your 90-day. Maybe that's, you're sending on Monday and Wednesday and Friday. On Friday, use your 90-day audience. That is everybody that falls under that 90-day. So your 30-day audience has gotten all 3 campaigns up to that point, whereas your 60-day audience has only gotten 2. And then your 90-day audience is those older contacts, they've only gotten 1. So then, if they're not as engaged with you, only sending 1 email, so then they're less likely to say, this is too much, I want to unsubscribe, or mark you a spam, or whatever it is. But you're kind of meeting them where they're at and where they're ready to engage with your business.
Thank you. That's so much clearer. If anyone else have any other questions, drop those in the Q&A box. Yes, Helen, you're welcome. Makes sense. That was the response, which I agree with. So what I wanted to kind of get back to is like naming the segments. As you said, like it's so important, and I cannot emphasize this enough as well. It's like, especially when you're just starting off, and maybe you have like 1, 2, 3 segments, and you might think, oh, I'll just call them segment 1, segment 2. But as your business grows, because that is the goal, right? Then you'll have more of those segments, and then things will get confusing. So when you said like it's so important from the get-go, I was like, yes, we don't want to fall into that pitfall.
Yes, absolutely. You don't want to forget all the work that you've done when you're wearing multiple hats.
Oh, absolutely. Does anyone else have any questions for TJ? And also customer support team, thank you so much. There were so many questions. Smashed it. All been answered. Okay. I think we're gonna wrap this up. Right. So if anything comes through the chat, we'll just grab those questions and we will answer those in an email follow-up if in case we missed anything. Again, you will receive the recording and the slides in a couple of days, so you'll be able to go through this at your own pace. You can also, I recommend just doing things step by step. Take your time, get used to it, play around. Just because you create a segment, nothing's gonna happen. It's just gonna be there in your Omnisend account. So, get used to it. And then also try Omnisend AI Segment Builder. Again, just play with it. Come up with the most ridiculous, the longest prompt you can have for your customers. See what happens and just get comfortable with it again. And then if you still need any help, you can contact our customer support team as well. They'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. TJ, thank you for being on.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. I was excited to just talk through this. It's one of my favorites, just to really help people get started and overcome some of these simple barriers.
Fantastic. Again, everyone, thank you so much, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.